Ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome our next guest today, 29th May 2020, on Insights with Nidhi, Mr. Tony Sirohi, Executive Chairman, Constantia Flexible India, world's leading manufacturer of flexible packaging. Mr. Sirohi is the packaging expert, and we are privileged to have him with us today and listen to his views at this very critical time. Thank you, Mr. Sirohi, for taking the time out for us.
And thank you, Nidhi, for having me here.
I'll begin now with my first question. Plastics has emerged as the savior for mankind in this, especially the pandemic time. Your organization supplies to major companies of food, for personal, home care, pharma. How have you seen the demand shift in these verticals after the pandemic?
Yeah, I think the world really wasn't ready for this pandemic, right? And many parts of India, including many parts of the world, certain things happen very quickly. Like in India, I guess everyone just got a few hours to kind of prepare themselves. So everyone was as prepared or as unprepared. So it did catch everyone by surprise largely, but although people kind of anticipated something was going to happen, okay. So, and thereafter, obviously, it's been a couple of long, hard days in terms of getting the approvals in place. And I must admit over here, I think the way the government kind of moved through at the local level, local administrative level, things surprisingly were quite efficient by and large, and so we could get permissions quickly, right? And then we started within the first few days. But yes, for a large part of our customers, and if you talk about the FMCG industry in the country, and if you extend it to pharma as well, so there has been shifts, right? We are watching the shifts. Certain categories definitely, which are more appropriate to the current time, are doing very well. And some categories have really gone through the roof. Hygiene product, personal wash, hand wash, sanitizers. I guess everyone's really familiar with those categories. And also in terms of foods and staples, clearly within the, category of foods and staples, within that, there's certain subcategories who have done well, I would say, in terms of demand. Okay, for the others, demand is suppressed compared to the others. So clearly, there are trends emerging in the first couple of weeks, and they're continuing even now.
Great. Which are the verticals which you are seeing the demand is suppressed? We all know where the demand has gone high. But which are the verticals where customers are not spending their money yet? Right.
See, India is, if you talk about Indian FMCG company, they cater to, a wide cross-section of the consumer society, right? So demand generally has been preserved or even spurred more in terms of essentials, more, where affordability of people is not being impacted, because obviously one knows there are hundreds of millions of people who have been impacted, kind of badly by this pandemic. However, there are certain categories which are at lower price points. So if you take about, let's say, generally as a category of biscuits, right? The more premium biscuits, the demand is suppressed. Okay, and the non-premium, biscuits, the demand has spurred. Okay, similarly, if you talk about hand wash, hand wash again, hand wash, sanitizers actually came up from a very low base, right? The Indian base was extremely small. It was a small market, and it just gone through the roof. But if you take hand wash again, there is a clear shift that we are seeing in terms of sizes as well. The more large packs are selling, and surprisingly, even in biscuits, non-premium biscuits, there's a clear trend wherein, either promotional packs, right, the larger size packs of the non-premium biscuit category are selling more. So, you're clearly seeing these trends emerging in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, I did speak to Mr. Senguttan of ITC yesterday, and he reflected the same opinion that the large packs are taking off.
Okay.
Absolutely the same. It was mirroring. Mr. Sirohi, the lockdown will ease out and people will adapt to the new norm. After the initial stocking up that people have done, people will fall into the new order. How do you see the consumer behavior changing? And then how will that impact the demand, which will actually become the long-term demand then?
Right. Good question. They are estimates. And remember, these are estimates that if you look at the FMCG demand, it shrunk by about, estimates are between 30 to 40% in the month of April. Okay. So you can imagine that's a staggeringly large number that we are talking about, right? And the way I see it, it is going to take at least about minimum 2 quarters because also we cannot forget, one is on the demand side, but a lot of FMCG companies generally, I'm talking about smaller Indian companies as well, they are not opening or are finding it difficult to run their factories, right, today. So it is an estimate that at the best case scenario, it will be maybe going towards the end of 3rd quarter to 4th quarter in terms of some of this normal demand. When I say across the board, not specific that we have seen in the past 2 months, that coming back on track, I would assume it would be at least a quarter and a half, 2 quarters away.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think that your organization would had to make some strategic changes in their facilities or their branding or marketing based on the COVID? Have you made such decisions for your plants?
Not really, and very surprisingly, because Constantia is a global company, but highly concentrated in Europe. So the thing which was really surprising was when everyone here was hearing about the dire state countries like Italy, Spain, Germany, were in, our plants were fully operational, absolutely fully operational. They were operating at nearly the same levels as before the COVID pandemic spread, into Europe. So there has not been like, a tectonic kind of a shift in strategy, if so to speak, right? But yes, in terms of, there are more in terms of tactical things which have been done more short term, looking at how best, we have to handle the crisis. So if you are asking whether there have been kind of sweeping strategic kind of changes, either in terms of market or inward looking in terms of technology, etc., that has not happened.
Okay, fair enough. And the time given to us was so less that we just kind of reacted to it instead of, it couldn't have been done in a planned way any which way. So
I'm saying not only from Indian perspective, but also from European perspective, there are no kind of tectonic shifts which most companies are envisaging. Yes, there are some fundamental shifts, but that's more in terms of personnel, more in terms of how people can work, how people can address day-to-day issues, professionally without coming to work. So that is a big change, I would say. But outside of that, in terms of marketplace technology, I really wouldn't say, there's a big shift which has happened.
Understood. Well understood. No technology changes, any kind of automation or robotics that you're planning to kind of put in your capex now, with a lot of workers, migrant workers would have gone. Are you have to face that kind of issue? And then have you made some changes there that yes, we need to, this part of our factories, we need to kind of look into automation?
And I assume, sorry, that this question is specific to India, right? Yeah. So I would say like even currently the machines that we have, let's say conversion machines, etc., they're fairly automated. Okay. And generally automation, from one generation to another, sometimes it is deep R&D work of many, many years, right? So we obviously, there's no requirement in terms of looking at the next generation right now. And as far as robotics are concerned, I'm sure you know as much as I do that flexible packaging in India is not like a highly where you make lots of money, right? So those things are more European concepts, right? We have manpower, adequate manpower who are skilled and trained. So right now we're not really looking at these changes in terms of bringing robotics, in terms of packing, etc.
And noted, your factory is very recent. It just got inaugurated a little time back.
Yeah, one of the factories.
Already is state of the art. So yes,
yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Well understood. You have the advantage of having the expertise and from the other countries, because your organization operates worldwide, Europe and other countries also, and which the countries have been ahead of the COVID curve than India. Are there some major learnings that you have taken from your overseas operation and implementing in India, since we have the
yes. Oh, absolutely. But more on the, personnel side, because, as you're aware that, typically multinationals and good Indian companies, for them, people come first, right? So there was a huge amount of learning, huge amount of transfer of knowledge and information in terms of hygiene, in terms of protocols, in terms of guidelines to keep people safe. People in our offices, people in the factories. So that was a huge amount of help, that we got from overseas. And obviously also, and I was pleasantly surprised by the guidelines also given by the government of India, were fairly exhaustive. And so it was a good combination that we could actually roll out, as well as what we got from the government sources.
Good. I think our Indian government has been quite a leader in this pandemic.
Oh, yes.
I'm all very proud of them, the way they've handled and the kind of guidances that they've been issuing. I think they've done very well.
I would totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Yes. I would also like to ask a question on are the guidances that you're getting from your other counterparts in Europe, the norms, are they more stringent than what we are following in India for the factory manufacturing operations?
I would not say at all, because remember, here is a pandemic, right? And whatever guidelines, protocols which are being set is protecting people. And they are done not only by us, but by most of the good multinational companies. So there's no difference, in terms of scanning for temperature, social distancing norms, the way we bring up people from their homes, the way the shift changes, canteen, work from home, more or less they have been identical.
Great. I learned this phrase from Mr. Chand Sehgal yesterday. We are all locally global. So we are at different geographical areas, but all of us, that's a good thing to learn, that in India, we are at the same level that how the factories are following the norms. That's a very good thing to hear. Since you export also, what market changes are you expecting in that phase? And what are the areas of your focus for the export market?
Our focus has always been, I'm talking now specifically to India, have been the developed countries, right? Our export, in terms of, there's a clear strategy which is lined up in terms of obviously emphasizing more on exports. But as far as the markets and customers are concerned, it's not that we were competing particularly with China, because we were operating in a very, very different market segment. So it's more of business as usual. I guess that would be more appropriate or apt for companies which are in certain markets competing with China. So obviously king of supply chains, etc., there could be opportunities for such companies.
Excellent. That looks like a ray of good hope in the sunrise there.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Sirohi, Constantia has been following the dual route of acquisition as well as expansion in India.
Right.
Which do you think works better? I know you would say mix of both, but it has to be.
Actually, for us, it's been a mix of both because we actually set our footprint in the country through an acquisition and then another acquisition 2 years back.
Yes, yes.
And then we have expanded with a new facility. So it's been both. No, I guess it is looking at the country, how strategically does the country fit into the global strategy for growth, and India is pretty much up there for Constantia. So, constantly these are questions which are not left, for a period of time, but are constantly evaluated, at a management team level, at a leadership level, what makes more sense. For example, going forward, we may have, more greenfield kind of, expansion opportunities that we could look into, or it could also be maybe small and big acquisitions. So it's constantly, these things are constantly evaluated. They're not really etched in stone, so to speak.
Understood. Has the variability of cultures across, does that come as a challenge? Because India, like even one state to another, there is like you've kind of acquired two different geographically. Does that come as a challenge? Because Constantia overall would have some kind of culture which is, duplicated across. This culture change doesn't come up as a challenge?
It does. Most definitely it does, right? However, also it depends on the culture of the organization. Let's say Constantia. So it's always been a very multicultural, cultural, open kind of an organization. So that makes it easier. But yes, at an India level, and always cultural shifts or changes, they are a journey. Okay, they're a journey of a number of years. So it's not that, all of a sudden we can change cultures. And also at the same time, Nidhi, I can share with you now that, in the past many years, I've been exposed to acquisitions and local cultures. There are also very good cultures at a local level, which at least in Constantia, we plan to preserve because they are so good. So it's not always a one-way street wherein you're a multinational, you acquire companies and then you have to change the culture. So I guess it's taking the good of both, the existing culture and what we need to change for the betterment of people, betterment of the company. And I guess an ideal mix is, an amalgamation of both of them.
I think that's so beautiful to hear. That will be growth with diversity. Everyone
Absolutely.
taking up beautiful. That's
Absolutely.
really good to hear. Mr. Sirohi, I think the markets for the flexible packaging are looking very good for now because there's a lot of demand. And what will be your words of advice, learnings for our industry on a closing note? Because this video is going to be shared with entire industry, which is the packaging industry across India and overseas.
Right.
Shared with us in detail on different topics, but overall, what will be your maybe 2 advices which you will share with our fraternity?
I mean, just some thoughts, nothing in specific in terms of, but the overall, at least I'm talking about the Indian market, right? Indian market, FMCG is a growth story, right? Maybe we may not see the beautiful growth numbers we had 8-10 years back, but now we have established base. So from a large base, the numbers obviously are going to be smaller in the Indian context, but are very, very attractive in the global context. So if, let's say, outside of COVID, we come back to double-digit, FMCG growth, which means double-digit packaging growth from a global standard, that's fantastic. That is going to happen. We have still a large market which is untapped. There's a large market which is conversion from, unpacked to packed. That's going to happen. There's again a shift, which is a constant kind of evolution, shifting from rigids to flexibles. That is going to continue. So the growth story is very much intact for India, right?
Yes.
Just that my only thing is, I guess, profitability, we would want more partnership from our, customers. They need to recognize that packaging is really, really vital. It's in fact the first handshake of the consumer, with their product. So it's really vital. And, long-term partnership is really important, both from the consumer point of view, from the customer point of view, from the supplier point of view. And so these are a couple of my thoughts. We are in a good place, right? And I'm sure the whole, maybe we are lagging China a couple of years. China was exactly in the same position we were in about 10, 15 years back. But if we see, the Chinese market has become very well differentiated. So there is a requirement for really high-end, high-quality packaging, where not only the consumers, it starts from the consumers, but also the customers are willing to pay a price for that. So we are hoping, Indian market in the next, let's say, half to 1 decade differentiates itself. So then there's room for everyone. There's room for these big Indian and multinational packaging companies. There's room for the mid-tier, companies, and there's also adequate room for the smaller companies, each one thriving on their own.
Excellent. And also the rural market, I think that is something which is going to see, because a lot of these migrant workers who were used to some kind of products here, they have shifted to the rural market. They will probably rub that off, where a new market demand in those areas will add on a lot. And double-digit growth is something that is music to the ears. That's not going to be heard in a lot of other sectors. So
yes,
I think we are in a very lucky place here.
Yeah, and also regarding rural market, I think with certain very basic structural changes which the government is making, there's going to be more income, more money in the farmer's hand. Okay, with more money in the farmer's hand, that means more disposable income. That market is also, it has grown much faster than the urban market in India. Okay, and surprisingly, even this is what I hear, even in the last 2 months of the COVID impact, the rural market has still been growing, right? So that is also another really big booster as far as the Indian, numbers of growth in future are concerned.
Excellent. And I think a lot of people are looking forward for the next question of mine, which is, are you still open for acquisitions?
Sorry?
Are you still open for acquisitions in India, or you're going to wait a bit till this entire phase goes away?
No, definitely. Like I mentioned a few moments earlier, we constantly evaluate, right? If there are good opportunities, but yes, given the current phase, okay, it's not that, we will not look at it, but yes, it's a different world we are all living in.
Absolutely.
So there are different imperatives, which one has to understand compared to where we were 3 months back.
Absolutely. The new VUCA.
Yes, would be open, but we have to recognize it's a different world we are living.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a very valuable session, Mr. Sirohi. My viewers are really going to be very happy with this interview, because it does give them insight of how a flexible converter is looking at the market as well as the operations going ahead. We shall connect to you soon in a better and more healthier and safer world soon. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate a lot. Pleasure's mine. Thank you very much, Nidhi, and wish you all the very best, and you also please stay safe and healthy. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Cheers.